Hello, Matilde. Good evening. How are you? How do you feel today?
I'm good. I'm good. And you?
Great. That's great to know. I'm fine as well. Thanks for asking. Let's start with the activities that we got. All right. We
All
have
right.
to cover just one more lesson for this unit, and then we have all the rest of the time to practice some writing. And I have a presentation for you, right, regarding that topic. But let's finish then again the lesson that I told you we have left, that is future. All right, it's a very simple topic, but it's interesting to know the details of these two ways to express future. But we have more. I want to know what you know, Matilde, about will and be going to, right? The common ways to talk about in future. But what do you know about these expressions or these models?
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, they're both for future. And if I'm not mistaken, um, going to is the purpose. It's like more immediate, and will could be, in further in time. If I'm not, yeah, if I didn't, yeah, if I'm,
Okay, yes. Yes, that's one of the possibilities. Uh-huh. They have, we're going to see that today. It can be implied, but both of them can be right for, I don't know, right near future or further future, but it is implied over there. But I ask you, before going even to those details, what other structures do you know that we can use to talk about future besides will and be going to?
you let me think. Mm, present. You can use present continuous. I'm, I'm going. Well, yeah, I'm doing this. I will be. Well, it's yeah. Mm,
You can mention models that come to your mind. Yesterday we saw
yeah.
some, but some of them also can be used for future. Which ones do you think are better for future from the models that we got to see yesterday, the ones you remember?
Um. Oh, you're talking about what when we see this part of should, may,
Yes,
ought
correct.
to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There are two
Okay.
models from that group, two models that can also work very well for future.
Okay. So, mm, may. But
Yes, actually, yes, it is
yeah.
correct. May, because may, even though it can be also about present, right? It is mainly going to be about a future possibility, right? I may or not do something in the future, right? Because it can be a prediction about something that you don't know, or it can be an intention, as you said, that you have, but it's only a possibility, right? So good, you have will, you have be going to, you have may, you have might, you have the present continuous, as you said, right? I'm traveling next weekend,
Mm.
right? But it is correct, good. And we can also use, right, the simple present. For example, when do you think it's a good idea or it is a good idea to use the simple present? For example, the simple conjugation, right? It starts, it
Mm-hmm.
begins, it ends. When is it a good idea to use that tense for future?
Mm, okay, I'm thinking like in a situation to say she starts tomorrow. Working. She starts, but I don't.
That's correct. And what's the
Yeah.
context? How
Yeah.
sure do you have to be? How sure do you have to be to use that expression?
You have to be certain, right? That
Yes,
she will be starting that job or whatever.
yes, correct. So, in other words, there's already, it could be a specific schedule or a timetable, right? That tells you that tomorrow at a specific time you will start or you start an activity, right? So that's correct. Also, for example, the beginning of a new course, right? For example, for the beginning of this course, we can say the course starts. I don't know, on a certain date, right? Because we know that we are certain, and
Yeah.
there's a specific schedule. It is there's a program, right? There's a calendar that can tell us that, and we can use simple present. Okay, so that's just a context because we have to know that there are many ways, and that we can well apply to use future. Now, let's start understanding the difference between will and be going to. Let's read this, please, Matilde. Will.
Okay. Useful to talk about predictions based on opinions, future facts, offers, promises, and decisions made at the moment of speaking.
All right, good. Now, again, this is important and interesting, and it's worth knowing because imagine you're going to have tasks in speaking for the TOEFL, and you have to, well, choose right between one option, and you have to sometimes give examples, and you have to mention things to defend to support that decision, and sometimes you are going to be using these expressions with will or be going to or even simple present, right? So it's always good to use this correctly. Now, when you think predictions based on opinions, it means that you don't have evidence. It means that it's only something that you believe, right? That is your opinion, as it says there, right? So, what is a possible example that you can give me, Matilde? What prediction can you give me about any event that is happening in the world, but that is based on your opinion only, not on evidence? It's only something that you believe because you want it to be like that. What do you say?
Okay, so we the end of the world will be 2 years from now.
All right, good. That's a negative one, but it's good. So good, right? Perhaps we don't have evidence. Perhaps we do have evidence, but the idea of using will is that we don't show that evidence, that we only show that idea as if it was just something that we believe, and that's it. Right? So good. Yes, that's a good example. And another example could be a candidate, right? For, I don't know, being a president. So you like someone and you can say, yes, he will win the elections.
Yeah.
Not because you surveyed people, not because you looked at the statistics, just because you like that guy and you want that person to win, right? And you can say he will win, right? So yes, that's clear. Now, this can be tricky sometimes. I mean, most people get confused by these future facts, right? A future fact, we know what a fact is, right? Something that is true, something that describes reality. So, without giving more explanation, what example can you give me? Try to give me one example using future facts. What do you say? It has to be something that it is not planned, something that is not your belief. It's the opposite of the prediction. You're describing something
Yeah.
that is reality. So, what do you say?
Um, in 2025, we will have the national elections.
All right. Yes, that can be in this way, right? If it's a general thing that has been decided, it is part of a future fact. But let's make it even perhaps not difficult, but more specific. What do you think is something in the future that is not even the people's decision or society's decision? That is just part of how the universe and the world working in that way. What do you say? Because that one, right, can change because actually that is going to work not as a fact, but as a plan or a structured. So it's going to be better even with be going to. All right, when it's part of a decision or arrangement or agreement between one or two right groups of people, then it is going to be better with be going to. Okay, so again, that's been very, very I don't know, strict in terms of grammar.
Yeah.
So mentioning that, what else can you say? Something that is not our decision, any human's decision, something that works like that because it is nature.
Okay, so climate change will affect us all, even though some people
Yes.
don't believe it, but yeah.
Okay, yes, yes, I believe that's a great example. That's something that happens because it's the effect of something natural, right? And it's causing effects, right, on perhaps humans, but the planet in general, right? So that's good. So with future facts, we can talk about that, right? Nature, physics in general, for example, the effects of some medication, right? The effects of drinking something or taking something, or even how the universe works, right? That the sun will rise, I don't know, right, every morning in quotation marks. But yes, things that don't change because we want it, right, to change, but it is the way it works, right? So that's it. Offerings. Now, this is interesting. How do you think you can offer something with will?
Mm, like, I mean, usually, yeah, usually for offer it's would, like, would you like
Correct.
something to
Uh-huh.
drink? Yeah,
Yes, and this
or
is
would you
less
like,
formal, but it can
yeah,
have the same meaning, and it's not going to mean
yeah,
future action, right? When it's offer, it's
yeah.
just offering, right? So, what is an example of that?
Like, I mean, I'm usually use would, but like with, I don't know if that's correct. I have never used it. Will you like something for? Would you like something to drink, or I don't know if that's
Yeah,
okay.
it's a
Usually,
little bit tricky. For example, when you
yeah,
use the expression would like, it always has to be with would like,
yeah,
right? Would you like? So offering is mainly when you want to offer something as help, right? For example, will you want me to help you? All right. In that case, you can
yeah,
use would or will. All right. Will you want me to
yeah.
help you? So in specific cases in which you don't use the expression like to, or even, right, there's something, a very common question. What is that common question that is an offer or proposal in which you use will?
Mm.
Something
Oh,
related to relationships,
yeah. Will you marry me? Oh, yeah, yeah, sure.
right? So yes,
Yeah,
that's the one, right? That's the most common one, but that's an
yeah,
example of offering something, right? In this case, getting married, right? Using will. It's possible perhaps to use that with would, but it's not done in that way, right? So
yeah,
offerings, then promises, right? That's easy. And then decisions made at the moment of speaking, it means that it was not your plan, but you, right, had a conversation at a specific moment and you decided at that specific time that you will do something in the future, right? But it was not a plan, it was something that you decided just at that moment, right? And for example, you can say, okay, I will go to the party, right? After having a conversation with your friends, you decided that you will go to the party. So will is used in that way. We are going to try to practice not now, but we're going to have a specific exercise with will and be going to. You're going to let me know if you have questions or comments. But now let's go to be going to. Let's also read this slide, please.
okay. Use Bitcoin to talk about predictions based on evidence, something we can see or hear, and plans a decision before the moment of speaking.
All right, good. Now, just by looking at this, right, and by reading this, of course. So, what can you tell me now about the differences between will and be going to? Again, what you said can apply, but what now you can see that is the main or are the main differences between these two?
Well, first, that difference that you mentioned about the future facts, that it's different when we decide something as a group of people and something that it's not in our control, like nature. Yeah, and just an example. Yeah,
Correct. And even
that's
sometimes it can be right contradictory because, for example, if you have will, you are talking about predictions based on opinion that is kind of okay, it's not
Mm.
logical and it doesn't have evidence, right? But then you use also will for future facts that is very strong, right? And then
Mm.
you use will for all these extra purposes as offering, as promising something, right? But mainly be going to feels stronger. Okay, so usually be going to is stronger and better structured than will. Okay, I would say in 80% of the cases because it's evidence and it's
Mm.
plans, right? But it's again, as you mentioned very well, it's an
Mm.
agreement, right, between two people or between groups of people. But the only way or the only aspect that makes will strong, perhaps, is the future facts, right? Because the rest of the ideas are kind of subjective if you analyze that one, or it's opinion, or it's a promise, or it's an offering. So it's more related to interaction, but this one is more related to evidence, kind of scientific, and plans, something structured and arranged. Okay, so one more time, if you want to put them in a balance, be going to choose the one that you use when you feel sure about something. Will, not that much, but the exception is that will is the one that works, the only one that works with facts. Right? For example, the idea if I'm 32, all right, and I'm going to B, that's going to be incorrect if I say I'm going to be 33 this year. I shouldn't use that
Mm.
expression, right? I should say I will be or I will turn 33 this year, right? Because it's not about my decision, is right how it works, at least the way we believe it works. So I would, yes,
Okay.
before going there, we're going to go now to the practice I told you. Let's try to give a couple of examples, please, Matilde. Give me one in which we feel that this is a prediction, and you have to show me the evidence that you're using, sorry, to give that prediction, and one plan that you have perhaps for the future already.
Okay, so um, I was thinking about, but I think I was thinking, my colleague is going to is going to divorce, but I think it's better she's divorcing.
Yeah, no, actually, if that is perhaps it depends, right? It depends
Mm.
on the elements that you have to say that, right? And what you want to mention about that. So it's
Mm.
getting divorced, or it's about to get divorced, or I don't know, right? It depends
Mm.
on the emphasis or the focus that you want to give to that. If you want to mention that as a plan, as something, a structure that that person has, then you can say is going to. And even you can talk about the specific time at which they are going to work with this, I don't know, paperwork and documents, right? The legal
Yeah.
part of it. So if you have that or they have that planned and we know when that is going to happen, you can just be going to, right? If not, you can just mention that in a general way and it's going to be the same, right? So that can be as a plan, all right? If you put it as a plan,
Okay.
it can be used with be going to. Okay, so that's one. Let's try
Okay.
one more in which you feel and it's something that you already planned that you know that you're going to do, I don't know, in the following week or in 2 weeks, in 1 month, but you are sure of that. Perhaps it can change, but you have that arranged. You have the plan and even you have the date in which it's going to happen. So what do you say?
Okay. So I'm going to I'm going to the vet next week to get my dogs their annual vaccine.
Okay, yes, then it would be that you're going to go to the vet, right? You're going
Yeah.
to go to the vet. To that. Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm good.
And here again, we have to
I'm going
suppose,
to. Yeah.
we have to pretend that you already had a conversation, right, with the vet, and you already planned, right, the date and perhaps even, right, the exact time at which you are going to be attending. But again, if that's the case, then it works. Or also, if you have regular basis, because you have, I don't know, a document that tells you that you have to go this month or the following month, that can also be a part of a plan, right? So that's good. That's a plan. Now, what about a prediction? But for this prediction, right, differently to will, you need to mention evidence so that we understand why you are using be going to.
Okay, so I'm going to change my tire because it's clearly oh, I forgot the word for desinflado.
That's a flat. It's getting flat.
Yeah, it's flat.
Or,
Yeah, it's getting flat.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, but that one, that can also be like a plan, or even
Yeah, yeah,
that
you're
can be
right.
a
Yeah, yeah,
decision,
you're
right?
right.
At the moment of speaking, it's better if you use for predictions ideas that are not related to yourself, right? Because you can give predictions about
Yeah, you're
yourself,
right.
of course, right? But it's going to be more like it can be a prediction based on what you believe of yourself, right? So what do you say? Something that is happening one more time around the world or in your neighborhood, in your city, or in the continent, right? But that you have, you can make that up, right? But you have something to support that idea or that prediction.
Um, okay, so according to her doctor, she's going to give birth next month.
Okay, yes. Yes, yes, because actually that's not a future fact because it can change, and we can say sometimes that it can be a fact, but because of the many things, and because we don't have the tools to give perhaps that exact prediction about it, we can say that we have the evidence to give that prediction, right? So yes, I would say that in that case, it will work. Anything, right? For example, you can talk about elections one more time, but instead of saying, I like that guy, I like the way he is, even, right? Some people vote for a candidate because they look good, right? And that's not a good, right, way to decide he has or not to be the president. But if it's not that, but you talk about surveys, polls, statistics, right, that they showed in a certain place, and you base your prediction on those statistics, right, on those numbers, that it can also be used with be going to, right? So a same yes, the same situation can be predicted, right, from different points of view. One of them just based on opinion, and the other one based on evidence, right? So again, anything that you can think of can be used here. So that's it. And I just want you to see this part in which you can see the comparison. The main differences are that will is a decision, right, that you made at the moment of speaking, and this one was before, right, the moment of speaking. It means this was just suddenly, right, made, and this was planned. Here, prediction based on opinion, and here based on something that you can see here, it means evidence. And then the extra usages for will, future fact, that this makes will very strong, but only when it's a fact. And then the other usages, promises, requests, refusals, we didn't mention that, but those are other alternatives, offers as well. And that's it. Okay? I just want you to have that. And we're going to have future activities involving future, but now I just want you to see this, and I want you to tell me if you have questions about the differences between these two expressions for future. Matilde, let me know, please.
No, I think it's clear. Yeah, I got
Okay,
it.
good. So let's have that there. Remember that you have access to everything on Google Classroom. Now, I want to use this time that we have left to start working on the writing part that I told you about. Let's go there. Look, in this course that is about writing, I have something. I wanted to see this with you, transitional words and phrases. But before that, I believe that this is a better option to start with. so that we are sure when we have to use right the punctuation marks. Now,
Okay.
this is going to be more practical, so I'm going to share the document. Perhaps you're already here. If you are, if not, I'm
I'm
sharing.
not yet, but I could be in a minute.
It's loading. All right, there you go. Just in case, I'm also sending that to the chat.
Okay,
It is
I'm there.
already. Okay, good. So let's work in. Here, this presentation is going to show us examples of commas, colons, semicolons, and em dashes. All right, when to use them. So the first usage is very simple, right? We talked about this yesterday, and it's related to this is called the Oxford comma, right? When you have more than two items, you have to use that comma. I believe that this is something that perhaps we don't have to practice. This is the one that I told you about, the division or separation of a comma when you have coordinating conjunctions or fanboys. Okay, but I also want you to see what fanboys are so that that's also clear. And these are the ones, okay? They call them fanboys. This is just a didactic way to talk about it because each right letter stands for a specific coordinating conjunction, right? Perhaps you already knew this, but you have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Okay, those are all the coordinating conjunctions that there are. So it means that anytime you have this word in the middle and you have two complete ideas, right, separated by these words, then you have to use a comma. Okay, and each one has a specific meaning. Perhaps we know the meaning of all of them, but the ones I would like to reinforce are for, that means because, right? Nor, that is only used for negative ideas and agreement for a negative expression, and yet that has the same meaning as but in this context when it is used at the beginning of the second idea, right? Yet he can afford. So let's only read the examples for these three, please, because before we get to practice with some
Okay.
more complex ideas. So the one with for, let's read the explanation and that
Okay, for the word may be used instead of because. Julie did not go to school for she was ill.
good. Now let's go to nor.
Nor, which is similar to neither, makes the sentence negative. Example, Maria does not miss a day of work, nor does she miss a day of school.
Great. And this has a rule, right? Inversion. The second idea has to be inverted. It means
Yeah.
that the auxiliary is always going to be right before the subject. And then
Yeah.
yet, this is the last one. Yet, please, let's read this one.
Yet, like but, is used to show contrast between the two sentences. Example, Michael likes San Luis Obispo, yet he can't afford a house here.
No, right. So we know these fanboys. So this rule applies to those words. Let's read this usage, please, for the comma.
Okay, so to separate long independent clauses when the conjunctions connect them. Astronomers have known about the position of stars for centuries, but they didn't understand that the Earth revolves around the sun.
Good. And we already read about the fanboy, so I would like to practice this first. Knowing how we have to use this comma and having this list over here, I'm going to leave it there for you. Let's go to the document, please, and pick four. All right, use four of these fanboys and give me four complete sentences. And remember, the name of the sentence, just for you to know again, when it's divided by a coordinated conjunction, is a compound sentence. Okay, so let's write, please, four compound sentences with four different fanboys to practice this use of comma.
Right.
Okay, let's do it, please.
I continue in Unit 2, right? in the part.
Yes, that's correct. We're still in Unit 2, so let's do it over there as well.
Okay.
I'm using this timer.
Okay, I
Yeah.
start with 4, right?
No, actually, it's up to you. You
Okay.
decide which four coordinating conjunctions you're going to use. Okay, it's up to you.
Okay. Okay,
Good.
yeah, okay, sorry.
So I'm going to use the timer, please. We're going to have 4 minutes, but if you finish before, please let me know.
Okay, I'm ready.
Good. Let's start.
So I'm not used to put 4 instead of because, but I could use directly the she, right? Like she hasn't arrived to the airport because she.
Yes, and it's weird. It's
Yeah,
very,
it
very
feels weird.
formal. It's very, very formal, but it is correct. So yes, think of an idea of because, and instead of because, replace that word for and the comma. Remember, with because, we don't use comma. Okay, so the main difference is that just that we don't use comma with because, but we use it with for. Okay, if we don't use the comma with for, the meaning is not going to be because. All right, that's the condition for it to be because.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. Mm, I'm confusing. I'm using the yet in another way. Um,
Yes, that word also
yeah.
changes, right? When it's used at the beginning, after the comma, and before the second idea, it means however, it means
Yeah, yeah,
but, right? But when it's
yeah,
used at the end, it's only for negative.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Mm,
All right, we check in 30 seconds, please.
Sorry?
We check in 30 seconds, but if you finish, you tell me.
Ah, okay, so now I'm still missing some.
Right, now as you finish with the last details, I'm going to look for something so that you can see the example with 4.
Okay.
That is actually a song.
So I'm a bit confused with the nor thing because I am not used to use it. So I have to exchange the order. Like, she has never eaten meat before, nor does she something.
But it depends on the tense, right? Because your first
Mhm.
idea is, I think it was she has never eaten, so that's the present perfect. It means
Oh,
that the
yeah, right.
second idea has also, right? It needs to be in the present perfect. So instead of does, you need the auxiliary has. All right? Nor has
All
she,
right.
and then the verb
Ah,
in the
you're
past
right.
participle. Uh-huh. Yes, but it's always going to be like that. It doesn't matter what tense it is, it has to be the auxiliary for that tense.
Okay.
All right, so in the meantime, also as you're finishing, I'm going to make you listen to this that I'm sure that you listened to this one before.